Very good morning, dear friends. Myself, Dr. Vikrant Sudhakar Palekar. I am working as assistant professor in Gokhale Education Society, the Arts, Commerce and Science College, Jawahar, Palghar. Welcome in the lecture series on the topic bonding and structure of organic compounds. So in this particular topic, we have understood the basic term related with the hybridization. And in this, we have come to know that hybridization is nothing but the mixing of atomic orbital of equivalent energy to form the new hybrid orbitals which are oriented inside the space. So this particular hybridization for the carbon is of sp3, sp2 and sp type. And for oxygen also we have come to know that it is also having sp3 and sp2 hybridization. We have also seen the examples of sp3, that is water molecule, and for sp2, that is carbonyl compounds. Aldehyde, ketone, esters are the examples of sp2 hybridization for the oxygen. In this particular topic, now we are going to see the sp3 and sp2 hybridization and also the sp hybridization for the nitrogen atom. So let us see first sp3 hybridization. As we know that sp3 hybridization is nothing but mixing of 1 2s orbital and 3 2p orbitals to form new 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals with similar characteristics. Please correct over here 1 2s and 3 2p orbitals. So as we know that the nitrogen is having atomic number 7. So you can see this particular nitrogen can exist in the sp3 hybridization. If we see its electronic distribution in the ground state, as we know that these 7 electrons present, they are oriented as 1s2, 2s2 and 2p3. So 2px, 2py and 2pz are the half filled orbitals, and here we can see that these are half filled orbitals. So for the sp3 hybridization, one of 2s and 3 2p orbitals, they are having equivalent energy. So they mix to form the 4 new sp3 hybrid orbitals, out of which one of the sp3 orbitals is having 2 electrons, which is being also called as a electron pair. So it is acting as a lone pair of electrons. So these 2 electrons does not take part in the bonding process, while these 3 electrons takes part in the bonding process. So these 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals are having equal energy and they are oriented across tetrahedron, regular corners of the tetrahedron, and we can expect the bond angle 109 degrees. So let us see the example of sp3 hybridization. So we have seen that the 3 sp3 orbitals contain 1 unpaired electron each, and one of the sp3 hybrid orbital contains lone pair, that is non-bonding electrons. So as there is a repulsion in between the lone pair bond pair and bond pair, so you can expect the tetrahedral angle slightly 109 degrees and 28 minutes. So sp3 hybrid orbitals is bonded to 3 other atoms and other groups. So as we know that nitrogen having the trivalency, so it can have 3 unpaired electrons. So nitrogen क्या करेगा, उसके 3 atoms के साथ bonding form करेगा. So nitrogen is having valency 3. So if we see the shape of sp3 hybrid orbitals, there are 4 orbitals, 1 2 3 and 4. So out of that, 3 are having unpaired electrons. They are having unpaired electrons, while one of the sp3 orbitals is having lone pair of electrons. So it contains lone pair. So due to this lone pair, there is a lone pair bond pair and bond pair repulsion. So to avoid these repulsions in the minimum way, these orbitals are oriented at the tetrahedron, and you can explain this particular bond angle is 109 degree 28 minutes. So if we see for the sp3 hybridization, the S character is 25% while P character is 75%. So we have to remember for sp3 hybridization for nitrogen. Now we will see the example of sp3 hybridization. as ammonia is one of the very good example for sp3 hybridization for the nitrogen. So as we know that nitrogen is trivalent, it is having lone pair of electron on nitrogen. नाइट्रोजन के सर के ऊपर एक लोन पेयर रहती है, हमेशा आप देखेंगे कि नाइट्रोजन के ऊपर दो डॉट लिखे रहते हैं, सो दैट इज अ इलेक्ट्रॉन पेयर. सो देयर आर 3 NH कोवेलेंट बॉन्ड इज फॉर्म विच ओवरलैप with sp3 orbital and 1s orbital of H. So there you will find 3 sigma covalent bond which is formed by the sp3 s overlap in between the nitrogen. So nitrogen atomic number 7, 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. So you will observe 1s2, 2s2, 2p3 in the first case. Then 3 hydrogens will now share the one of the electrons with 2px, 2py and 2pz, and these 2s, one of the 2s and 3 2p orbitals, they are having equivalent energy, so they will mix together, combine together, and they will form the 4 new sp3 hybrid orbitals which are having equivalent energy. So these 4 orbitals are now sp3 hybrid orbitals. You can see the shape. These sp3 hybrid orbitals are oriented at the having trigonal planar shape. So you can see there is a repulsion between bond pair and lone pair. So these are the 3 hydrogens which are shared, these 2 electrons each, and there is a 3 NH sigma bond is formed by the overlap of S and sp3 orbitals of hydrogen and nitrogen respectively. So you can see the bond angle has been quietly reduced to 107. So why the bond angle has been reduced from 109 degree 28 minutes or 5 minutes to 107 degree? The reason is that the lone pair. So whatever the lone pair present on the nitrogen, it acquires maximum space inside. So as a result, there is a repulsion in between the lone pair and bond pair and bond pair and bond pair. So that as a result, this lone pair is pushing these bonding orbitals below. So as a result, that particular bond angle has been reduced to 107 degrees. And you can expect the ammonia molecule is having pyramidal shape with bond angle 107 degree. So why bond angle has been reduced? Because of the repulsions and presence of lone pair. As in the case of water molecule also, we have seen there are 3 kinds of repulsion: lone pair, bond pair, bond pair, bond pair, and lone pair, lone pair. So this is the reason. So you can expect these are repulsions, lone pair, bond pair, which is greater than bond pair, bond pair. So as a result, you can see the bond angle has been reduced. In the similar line, as compared to the ammonia, you can also expect the other compounds which contain nitrogen. Let us say, for example, amines. As we know that amines are having general formula RNH2. So let us take the methyl example of methylamines. So methylamines also you can expect that nitrogen is having sp3 hybridization, so which is also associated with the lone pair of electron. So for methylamine is also having the pyramidal shape with bond angle 107 degrees. Along with the amine, you can also expect the same thing for the amide also, because amides are having the bonding CH3, C double bond O, NH3. So this particular part. So these 2 part, that is COCH3 and NCONH2, these parts are not in a plane, they are perpendicular to plane. So in amide group, a carbonyl group is attached to the amino group. The carbonyl group is planar. So this particular part is planar. The carbonyl group is planar. So this particular group C double bond O is planar with both carbon and oxygen having sp2 state. So this carbon is also having sp2 state, this oxygen is also having sp2 state. In the amino group, the nitrogen atom will be sp3 state. This particular nitrogen is right now in the sp3 state. So thus amino group will be pyramidal. Whatever the amino groups is present, let us say in the amides, it is also in the pyramidal shape. With nitrogen is having lone pair of electron at the top side. So remember the compounds containing nitrogen such as amines, amides also having the nitrogen in the sp3 state and having the bond angle around 107 degrees. You have to remember for multiple choice question, what is the bond angle in the ammonia or methylamine? So you have to remember it is not a 109 degrees 28 minutes but it is 107 degrees. Now, abhi sp3 hybridization, nitrogen. So nitrogen also exists in the sp2 hybridization. So as we know that sp2 hybridization is nothing but mixing of one of 2s orbital and 2p orbitals. So this type of bonding you can observe in the compounds from the such as amines, oximes and azo compounds. Amines, oximes and azo compounds में आप ये bonding देख सकते हैं, वहाँ पे नाइट्रोजन का हाइब्रिडेशन रहता है sp2. Okay, so as we know that nitrogen having this particular electronic configuration 1s2 2s2 2p2, so as it is sp2, only one s and 2p orbital will overlap, while one of the pz orbital will remain unhybridized as it is, so it will be utilized for the formation of pi bond. देखिए अभी इमाइंस का स्ट्रक्चर क्या रहता है. इमाइन, so carbon and nitrogen is having double bond. So this particular nitrogen is presently in the sp2 hybridized state, this particular carbon is also sp2 hybridized state. So this is a bonding, you can have the nitrogen. यहाँ पे जो दो इलेक्ट्रॉन है यहाँ पे दिखेंगे आपको. So this is a lone pair. So this is structure of imine. If you see its molecular orbital diagram, you can see the out of the two bonds, one of the bond is formed by the overlapping of sp2 orbital of carbon and sp2 orbital of carbon. So this is a sigma bond. While one bond, हमेशा डबल बॉन्ड में एक बॉन्ड जो रहता है वो सिग्मा बॉन्ड रहता है, एक बॉन्ड वो पाई बॉन्ड रहता है. सो पाई बॉन्ड इज ऑलवेज फॉर्म बाय लैटरल ओवरलैप. सो दोनों के जो pz ऑर्बिटल है कार्बन और नाइट्रोजन के, दे विल ओवरलैप लैटरली एंड यू विल फाइंड द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ पाई बॉन्ड. सो यहाँ पे आप हमें देख सकते हैं कि ये जो CH बॉन्ड है दैट इज फॉर्म बाय s sp2 ओवरलैप, दिस इज फॉर्म बाय sp2 sp2, दिस इज ऑल्सो फॉर्म बाय sp2 sp2 एंड दिस इज sp2 s. So this is a electron cloud of pi electrons. So this is how the same thing you can observe in the case of imines. Remember what is the structure of imines? They are having carbon double bond nitrogen structure. Then the types of covalent bond. अब हमें types of covalent bond कौन से है ये देखना है. As we know that covalent bond, basically covalent bond कैसे तैयार होता है, उसमें atomic orbitals of same energy level they overlap. Either they will overlap axially or either they will overlap laterally. So once they overlap, they will form the new orbital that is being called as a molecular orbital. Molecular orbital कब होता है, जब molecules form होता है. Orbitals overlap to form the molecules. Atomic orbital, atom के orbital overlap होते हैं और वो क्या बनाते हैं, molecular orbital. So this is a covalent bond. So covalent bond बनने के लिए सबसे ज़रूरी चीज़ क्या है. सो जो ऑर्बिटल्स ओवरलैप हो रहे हैं उसमें हाफ फील्ड इलेक्ट्रॉन रहना ज़रूरी है. देन द बॉन्डिंग ऑर्बिटल मस्ट अप्रोच विथ प्रॉपर अलाइनमेंट विथ इफेक्टिव ओवरलैप. बॉन्डिंग होने के लिए सबसे ज़रूरी चीज़ जो है, जो ओवरलैप जो है वो मैक्सिमम होना चाहिए, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा ओवरलैप एटॉमिक ऑर्बिटल्स का होने चाहिए. इसके लिए उसका जो अप्रोच है, अलाइनमेंट जो है, दैट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. देन द थर्ड थिंग इज दैट द इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, जो दो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स ओवरलैप हो रहे हैं उसके इलेक्ट्रॉन्स के स्पिन्स क्या चाहिए, अपोजिट, एक अपर हेड एक लोअर हेड एरो चाहिए. सो दिस इज द थ्री बेसिक थिंग्स व्हाट वी नीड टू रिमेंबर इन ऑर्डर टू फाइंड द कोवैलेंट बॉन्ड. आपको सबको पता रहेगा कि कोवैलेंट बॉन्ड के दो टाइप्स है. वन इज सिग्मा बॉन्ड, अनदर इज पाई बॉन्ड. सो व्हेनेवर द ओवरलैप टेक्स प्लेस, आइदर इट विल टेक्स लैटरली मतलब क्या, साइडवेज, और एक्सेली मतलब क्या, एंड टू एंड ओवरलैप. सो हमेशा याद रखिए ये जो जिस तरीके का ओवरलैप है उस तरीके का बॉन्ड बनेगा. आपको मैंने हमेशा बताया कि सिग्मा बॉन्ड और पाई बॉन्ड ये दो कोवैलेंट बॉन्ड के टाइप है. पहला बॉन्ड है सिग्मा बॉन्ड, आपको सिंबल पता है सिग्मा. सो इफ ओवरलैप ऑफ टू एटॉमिक ऑर्बिटल्स टेक्स प्लेस अलोंग एक्सियली, द रिजल्टिंग बॉन्डिंग ऑर्बिटल्स इज कॉल्ड एज अ सिग्मा ऑर्बिटल एंड द बॉन्ड फॉर्म इज कॉल्ड एज सिग्मा बॉन्ड. एक्सियल ओवरलैप जब होता है तो आपको समझना चाहिए कि जो बॉन्ड है वो एक्सियल है और को एक्सियल. सो दिस पर्टिकुलर सिग्मा बॉन्ड में बी फॉर्म बाय द ओवरलैप ऑफ SS, SP और PP ओवरलैप. S ऑर्बिटल ओवरलैप होंगे दोनों के, ये आपको हाइड्रोजन में दिखेगा. SP, PP, these are the three types of overlap. So SS. So this is hydrogen. In case of SP, S is spherical, P is dumbbell shape. So this is how you can expect the sigma bond is formed by the overlap of s and p orbitals. So आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पे जो ओवरलैप हो रहा है दैट इज एक्सियल ओवरलैप हो रहा है. ओवरलैप ऑफ दो p ऑर्बिटल्स, p ऑर्बिटल्स भी एक्सियली ओवरलैप हो सकते हैं, वहाँ पे भी सिग्मा बॉन्ड फॉर्म हो सकता है. सो दिस इज हाउ द सिग्मा बॉन्ड इज फॉर्म बाय द SS, SP एंड PP ओवरलैप. नाउ नेक्स्ट वन इज पाई बॉन्ड. आपको पता है कि पाई बॉन्ड ऑलवेज एग्जिस्ट इन द मल्टीपल बॉन्ड्स. इधर इट मे बी in case of the double bonded compounds or it may be in the case of triple bonded compounds. So pi bond forms when overlapping of two atomic orbitals takes place sidewise. Laterally जब overlap होता है तो आप बोल सकते हैं कि in that case the overlap just takes place above the axis and below the axis. So the resultant orbitals are known as pi orbitals. The new bond form is called as a pi bond. So pi bond is formed by, so these p orbitals we have seen in case of the ethene, acetylene, carbonyl compounds. So this is how sidewise overlap takes place, and this particular bond is pi bond. Okay, so it is formed by axial overlap. So you can expect the pi cloud above the axis and below the axis also. So this is how the pi bond you can observe in case of the double bonded and triple bonded compounds. So sigma bond is symmetrical around the line drawn between the two nuclei. They are represented by single line in between the atomic orbitals. The electrons occupy sigma bond are called as sigma electrons. Remember always the sigma, in case of the sigma bond, there is a maximum overlap takes place. So that's why the sigma bond is always stronger, because of the maximum overlap. And we know that in case of the pi bond, there are two lobes. Okay, so one half of pi bond lies above the plane containing two nuclei, and other half lies below the plane. Above the plane, below the plane. The electrons that occupy pi bond are known as pi electrons. पाई इलेक्ट्रॉन्स में जो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इन्वॉल्व होते हैं उनको पाई बोलते हैं. सिग्मा इलेक्ट्रॉन्स बॉन्ड फॉर्मेशन में जो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इन्वॉल्व होते हैं उनको सिग्मा इलेक्ट्रॉन्स बोलते हैं. सो दिस इज द टाइप ऑफ द सिग्मा एंड पाई बॉन्ड. एज वी नो दिस इज अ कोवैलेंट बॉन्ड. ऑलवेज रिमेंबर सिग्मा बॉन्ड इज स्ट्रॉन्गर देन पाई बॉन्ड. Why stronger? Because in case of the sigma bond there is a maximum overlap of atomic orbital takes place, while in case of the pi bond there is a lower overlapping of orbital takes place. There may be question, what is the difference between sigma bond and pi bond? So you can have the several points by which you can explain. So always you can extent of overlap is greater, extent of overlap is less. So this particular bond is formed in the saturated compound. Saturated compound मतलब क्या है, जहाँ पे सिर्फ सिंगल बॉन्ड है, कार्बन कार्बन, कार्बन हाइड्रोजन, कार्बन नाइट्रोजन. अनसैचुरेटेड कंपाउंड में आपको पाई बॉन्ड दिखेगा. So these are the distinguishing point. Then shapes of organic molecules. So this particular slide is very important. Till now we have covered SP3, SP2 and SP hybridization for carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Okay, so these are the three hybridization we have seen in case of the carbon, nitrogen. In case of the oxygen only two hybridization are possible. One is SP3, another is SP. So let us revise. If the molecule is having shape tetrahedron, so what is the bond angle? 109 in case of the carbon. In case of the nitrogen it is 107. Ammonia, pyramidal. Angular, water, 105. So these are the example. Alcohols, ethene, methylamine and methanol. You can expect SP3. Trigonal planar, bond angle 120 degree है, SP2 hybridization. What is the example? Ethene और imine और aldehyde. अगर linear है SP hybridization कार्बन के साथ, तो कौन सा एग्जाम्पल है? एसिटिलीन और नाइट्राइल. SCN का एग्जाम्पल हमने अभी देखा, SP हाइब्रिडेशन फॉर द कार्बन एंड नाइट्रोजन. So this is a very important slide by which we can remember the bonding in the different molecules. So if we write the structure of any particular molecule, so we come to know that what is the hybridization of that particular carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. So this is a very important chapter where we have come to know that what are the different hybridization exist for carbon, nitrogen, oxygen in the process of bond formation. Okay, so this particular bond formation is very important in order to understand the geometry involved in that particular molecule and bonding involved in that particular molecule. So go through this particular topic. Hope so this particular topic is seems to be very important, and it gives a lot of idea about the structure and bonding of shapes of molecules. Thank you very much. See you in the next session.